Thank you for joining us for this video from Grow and Give, a modern Victory Garden project. Grow and Give will help you learn to grow food, share the harvest, and keep it local. The following video is taken from an excerpt of a live webinar on protecting the garden from animals. In this short video, Carol Amira from Boulder County Extension will teach you about protecting your garden from birds.
Birds. This is a beautiful bird here, but the birds that we deal with in our landscape don't look like that. I like birds. My husband feeds them, so we like to watch the birds here at the house. And I don't blame them for the damage that they do, but they do cause some problems when they get into areas that I don't want them to be. I'm going into the time frame right now where I'm putting out a lot of young seedlings into the vegetable garden, and for reasons that I cannot fathom, the birds like to go in there and pull out the seedlings, not because they're eating them. Instead, they're just laying them on the ground next to their planting holes so that they can wither and die. I don't understand this behavior, but this is what the birds think is, the thing to do. They also get into any of the fruit that we have growing. And if you grow cherries, if you grow peaches, you know that this is something that you have to beat the birds to, or you're not going to get any. A neighbor has a cherry tree. Every year I covet the cherries on the branches that overhang the fence because we have an agreement that I can have those, and I rarely get to them in time because the birds are always there eating them. So, what can we do about this? Well, our usual suspects are the same birds that typically come to the feeders that we have out. So it'll be sparrows and house finches and robins and crows and European starlings. I like watching them in all the other areas. Well, maybe not the starlings, are a little bit of a bird feeder bully, but I don't mind them around the feeder. And so what do? Well, honestly, you could try frightening devices. You could try the strips of Mylar and the little banging pots and pans out there. And birds, they'll flit away and then they'll come back, and you can't be out there all the time, and they'll get used to the strips of Mylar. They'll get used to the majestic statue of the owl that's looking down. They'll get used to a lot of things. So the effective control really is netting. And that comes with a couple of cautions. You can see here there's this soft bird netting that you can find for protecting fruit trees, but it's also good if you're going to maybe put some hoops over your beds and then put that on to protect some of the raised bed area. This is what I use in spring in order to keep both the squirrels out of the raised beds, but the birds as well. I switch that out for the shade barrier later in the summer when the plants are tall enough that the birds are not going to bother them. You put these nets on the fruit trees, and birds can get caught in here. So that's one of the cautions that I want to give you, is that these little birds can get in and they can get stuck in the net. In some cases, they'll find a way into the tunnels that I have built, and then they're kind of flying around in there, and they get kind of panicky when they see you coming up to it. So you just got to try to, be as soft a human being as possible to gently release them or try to get that net away from them. And if they're caught in the net, then you're going to have to gently hold them, maybe with gloves on, so that they can't flap and scratch while you gently cut that away from them. So use the nets with caution. I guess that's my point to you, is because these birds can get caught up in there. Trying to get the nets on these fruit trees is a real challenge. I mean, if you have dwarf trees, you can use a little setup like this, which is a net umbrella setup where it's, the structure of an umbrella that you put up close to the tree trunk and then open it up, and you can kind of toss a net over it. You start getting into some of the standard size fruit trees and you're not going to be able to put that netting on there. So what is recommended in that case is you pick out a couple of branches that you're going to protect for your own use, and leave a couple for the birds or the squirrels, because trying to net a 20-foot standard tree is nigh on impossible to do. If anybody has any ideas for that, I'd love to hear about it, but otherwise you're going to do individual branch protections.
Thank you for joining us for this short video on how to protect your garden from animals. To find more resources from CSU Extension, visit our Extension website at extension.colostate.edu. Here you can search our publications under the Natural Resources category to find more about wildlife. Here you'll find links to Plant Talk articles, which are short and to the point, CSU fact sheets, as well as Master Gardener curriculum. All of these resources are here to help you grow better.